It's in Kcaa. It's a really cool school. I love to do math. I'm really good at it. When I grow up, I want to be a fireman. I'm going to be a great fireman. This is why I love the Indian Empires. The Indian Empire.
Thanks, Josiah. And thank you for joining us today for another My Awesome Empire, produced entirely by students at Cal State San Bernardino. Guests are always inspired by suggestions from our awesome listeners. Do you know of an unusual business, a great babysitter, student, senior citizen, or doctor? We'd love to hear about it. Write to us, My Awesome Empire at csusb.edu. Thanks to student producer co-hosts Anaí Contreras and Kevin Shaw, to engineers Mentimer Avila and Annette Linares, and chief production engineer Rocky Giles. My Awesome Empire is a production of the College of Arts and Letters at California State University, San Bernardino. Until next time, I'm Lacey Kendall. Have an awesome week.
Kcaa Loma Linda.
Ha, yeah. Y'all know what time it is. So just sit back and relax because the show's about to start. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Hey, everybody. This is Kcaa AM 1050 Radio, and you are listening to Down to Earth Talk Radio. And you are listening to the Let's Talk community portion of the show. Sherry and Danny gave me the airwaves, and so we're going to get down and dirty and talk about some awesome stuff happening in the community. Got some really good stuff going on today. I'd like to introduce Sarah Brita as the co-host today. She is the youth chair for the Rialto Community Coalition. You want to say hi to everybody, Sarah?
Hello.
So she's an awesome young lady who's decided to get active, get her hands dirty, and get involved with making sure youth are engaged in being healthy and safe when it comes to drugs and alcohol. So I just want to thank her and her awesome parents for allowing her to come down and join us today. And just want to let you know, if anyone is interested to call in today, we are going to be giving away some really cool DVDs that you will learn a little bit more about in a minute. And the number for that is 1-888-909-1050. That's 1-888-909-1050. So before I introduce our guest today, I just wanted to touch on something, because being someone who's worked in public safety for a little bit, and my father retired law enforcement, and my lots of friends that currently wear badges and put on uniforms to support and protect our communities, I want to bring up the recent death of a law enforcement officer over in Texas. It's really getting out of control that we are waking the large portion of our public safety officers to burden the sins of a few bad apples. So I just want everyone to be mindful of not all cops are bad, and that we need to support these people. A lot of us, I remember growing up as a kid wondering if dad was going to come home at the end of the day sometimes. So just wanted to throw that out there, and we're going to be doing something in the communities upcoming in reference to supporting our law enforcement. So if you're interested in learning more about that, please go to our Facebook page. That's Let's Talk Community on Facebook, and we will get you the information, and you'll see a lot of it landing there. So today we have probably one of the coolest people I've had a chance to meet over the last 5 or 6 years. And that is Ray Lozano. You want to say hi to everybody? Ray?
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for that introduction, man. That's super nice. The coolest, man. That's great.
I ran into Ray at a health conference out in Ontario. I was speaking on marijuana, and I got a chance to listen to the man. And not only did he have a lot of relevant information, but it was interesting. And I figured since we'd worked on a couple of events, we'd been a part of the marijuana prevention conference about a year ago. And then we had you out in Rialto. You spoke to the kids at Eisenhower High School with the Don't Go There event.
Right. That was fun. That was a good time. A lot of kids showed up to that.
Yeah, that was good. That was a pretty good turnout. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to give you a chance. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit of what you're about?
Okay. Well, like you said, my name's Ray Lozano. I do drug and alcohol prevention and education all across the United States, both nationally and internationally. And so I'm just the big answer guy. So all the questions that kids have when it comes to marijuana or alcohol or ecstasy or heroin, I just go out and answer those questions. And I do it in a real fun way. And and so I get kids talking, and they always ask a lot of questions. Some of the questions I think sometimes freak out parents when they ask about smoking weed through gas masks and stuff like that. And parents are like, oh my gosh, I never heard of that. And so that's what I basically am, is the answer guy. I've been doing it since high school. So yeah, I love it.
That's cool. Yeah, you have a really your family has a large background in the prevention side of things, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do. My brother used to work at the White House with started with Reagan all the way up until this current administration through the National Office of Drug Control Policy. And so, yeah, it's something that we love to do. We just love helping out youth, and he's taken it at a whole top level political stuff. And I love being down here with you, Dave, at the grassroots level, man. I want to see these kids in the face. So
we do a lot of grassroots stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really it's rewarding. Sometimes it can tax a little bit, but the end result is 100% worth it.
It is.
Now, when I first became a part of Down to Earth Talk Radio, I told Sherry and Danny about this guy who talks about your brain being a series of doors, and every bit of information has a specific door that it needs to be behind. Right. And they were really excited to have you on the show, and then I stole you from my show. So anyway, why don't you explain to us about those doors, and what does marijuana do to that process?
Yeah, especially when it comes to young people. And, marijuana is really detrimental to the brain for a youth because their brain is just kind of cooking, trying to figure out how it's going to work, what it's going to do. And so it just really troubles me when kids say, I smoke weed, man, and there's no problem. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much information out there now how it is. And what happens is our brain, if you could look at it like a series of doors, and our brain is pretty amazing. We have, 10 billion iPhones, if you want to break it down to where it's understandable. 10 billion iPhones in our head, and every one of those iPhones can hold about 20,000 contacts, or right around 18,000 songs. So we have enough room in our head, Dave, to watch TV for 322 years straight and record everything we watch. That's how our brain works.
My oldest daughter would love that.
Really? So what happens is when a piece of information comes into your head, let's say a recipe or a color or a name. Let's say a name. So somebody introduces themselves to you, and they say, hey, my name is David, and then what happens is that goes behind this door. And so when I want to recall that information, it's like my brain goes to that door that says friend, opens it up, and out comes the name David. Like right now, everybody that's listening, elephant. Get an elephant in your head, okay? Got it? So when I said elephant, your brain ran to the door that said elephant, cranked it open, out comes an elephant. For a majority of our listeners, it was probably a picture. Did you get a picture of an elephant in your head, Sarah, or did you get the letters?
I got a picture.
A picture? Okay, good. So what happened is your brain opened up this door, and out comes this picture of an elephant. And so what happens is it put it behind the elephant door. Now, when you smoke weed, what happens, the reason why people can't remember stuff is because marijuana puts that behind a different door. So instead of it being behind the elephant door, maybe it's behind the password door. And that's why people and kids ask me that question all the time. Why do I have trouble remembering stuff? Well, at the beginning it seems kind of funny, and I can't remember that. I can't remember what I did. But then when you get older, and you have a job and you got to remember stuff, that's where it gets really detrimental. And so that's one of the problems that youth are going to start facing down the road. It's just stuff when it comes to memory.
Yeah, we I worked at Amazon for one of the Christmas seasons, and everyone was having a hard time passing the drug test.
Yeah.
They were trying to tell us, I just smoke weed. And he's like, weed destroys your brain, and we need you to remember how to get to a certain bin to get the package where it's going.
Right.
So memory's key, and especially getting to that point where you're trying to be a productive member of society.
Oh,
and
yeah. Especially in a job like that, there's a little bit of a sense of urgency. We got to get this stuff
a
out.
little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah. But
I want to order my groceries at 6 a.m. and have them ready for dinner.
That's right. Yeah, but sometimes, when you smoke weed, there isn't that sense of urgency there anymore. And it's just like, it'll happen. And that's where it gets dangerous.
So, next question, and it actually refers to this DVD that I'm holding in my hand that you brought a nice stack of, which if people call in and we can engage with you, you get a chance to win one of these really cool DVDs. What's the title here?
Yeah, read it, Sarah. What's the title?
The title is Pee, Puke, and Pass Out.
There it is.
Ooh.
Nice. Well done, Sarah.
Now, I've been to your trainings. I own the DVD because
Right.
you were awesome and you gave me one. And whatchamacallit, I have watched this and I've watched you on YouTube. Why don't you explain to us the 2 worst things to puke out?
My gosh, great question. Well, I used to work at a major hospital here, and on Friday, Saturday nights, a lot of people would come in intoxicated.
Of course.
And we had one kid that came in. Now, I did my own personal what's the worst thing to vomit out study. It's not scientific or anything. I just kind of kept track of it. And so one of the things, this guy, I'm going to tell you the worst one. This guy came in intoxicated. He was on a backboard, had a C-collar on his neck. He's laying on his back. They have him strapped to this board, and he starts hollering, I'm going to puke, I'm going to puke. And the doctor's like, good, get that alcohol out of your system, and they tilt him up on his side. So he's not leaning forward, if everybody can picture in your head, laying on your side, getting ready to vomit that way. And the guy starts hollering, I don't want to puke, I don't want to puke. And doctor says, why not? And he goes, because I've been eating, blah. Yeah, worst thing to vomit out, flaming hot Cheetos. Yeah, this guy is screaming, they burn coming out, and oh, man, it just was like this array of colors coming out, man. So, yeah, that was it.
I can imagine having a video of that so you could play that back and forth, back and forth.
Oh, yeah, man. I would run that thing backwards and call it Taste the Rainbow. Yeah.
Do you eat hot Cheetos, Sarah?
Yes, I do.
That's a kind of scary thought for you then, huh? Remember, if you're feeling kind of queasy, lay off the hot Cheetos.
That's right. Especially that stuff that gets on your fingers, huh? That's pretty good. That's like after when you're done, like I could use a few more. There it is right there on your fingers. So.
What's the second worst thing? Because I love that story.
The tater tot one?
Tater
Oh,
tots.
gosh, yeah, tater tots.
What does your stomach do to tater tots?
It's so funny, yeah. I've seen this. I don't know what it is. It's like a game for your stomach. Your stomach like tries to put them back together, so when people puke out tater tots or like vomiting, like, oh my gosh, I thought I chewed that, but I guess I didn't. So yeah, I don't know what it is with your stomach and tater tots, man. It's like a game.
It's funny as my daughter was watching that YouTube video with me the other day.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, Daddy, does it really do that? Like she wanted to try it. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So, and actually, I love the pee puke or pass out really gets to youth because it kind of just simplifies it, gets it right to the heart of the issue. And what is the thing behind pee puke or pass out? What is it?
It's so funny. The name, everybody loves the name because now you can go to peepukeandpassout.com and there's information there, alcohol information there. And every time I call my internet people and they're like, oh, we love that name, So yeah, it works out pretty good. But peeing, that's the very first thing that happens when you drink alcohol, and it's your body trying to get rid of alcohol, so you pee a lot more. And people think, oh, I'm drinking, I'm peeing more, so I must be peeing out alcohol. But you're peeing out a lot of water in your body. And that's why people, let's say somebody drank real hard last night, Friday night. They wake up this morning, they have a headache. They feel terrible. They can't make a decision. One of their tooths is missing. Their mouth tasted like they found a diaper on the beach and tried to eat it. That's called tequila. And and the thing is, you have a hangover because you pee too much water out of your body, and then you have this crazy headache going on because your brain is actually shrinking just a small amount and pulling away from the inside of your skull. The puking part, we talk about this. This is like a 45-minute hour training that we do. The puking part is where you drink so much, your brain goes, I cannot process all this. I got to get it out of here. And that's where you puke it out. And then the last part is passing out. once you drink so much that you pass out, this is your body going into overdrive, trying to protect you. It's saying, I need to stop alcohol from coming in, so I'm going to pass out. And so that's what's going on. But and then I break it all down for youth, and we talk about that, peeing, puking, and passing out. Oh, yep, I love that.
When I get, I really love that. It simplifies it. And one of the things that I love too is that you don't. I've seen some of the videos on your YouTube account with kids talking about how when he walked in there, I thought he was okay with marijuana, and I walked out. I'm like, oh my gosh, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to do it. He tricked me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you have to build a case against marijuana. You just can't go in there firing stuff away. But I talk about the history of it, and a lot of cultures down through history. The Egyptian culture used marijuana, the Roman culture used marijuana, and all that, and Native Americans. And kids will always tell me, yeah, you know what, Benjamin Franklin grew weed on his plantation. I'm like, yeah, but it was only 0.5% THC.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to want to smoke that nowadays.
That's what we learned at the Marijuana Prevention Conference.
Right.
Is the stuff that your parents smoked back in the 60s is nothing compared to what they're putting out nowadays.
Oh, my gosh. No, it'd be like watching TV on a black and white TV where you have to get up and change the channel. I don't think most of the kids listening know what that means, right? Yeah. There was a knob on the TV, you guys. You had to get up and change it. So, yeah. Nobody would watch TV on that. It's the same thing. Nobody wants to smoke weed from the 60s.
So, and moving into that, I wanted to talk about consequences. Because one of the things that I'm always harping on people when it comes to whether it's drugs, alcohol, tobacco, or whatever is a lack of consequences. The reason why we get involved in things we do, or the reason why our kids feel so comfortable getting into trouble and just experimenting with these things is because we have removed consequences.
Right.
And so one of the things that I loved most about your presentation, especially at our Don't Go There event, was when you talked about consequences and kids relying on their friends. Can you expand on that? Yeah,
man. It's just so terrible. There's a part of my training when I talk about alcohol, about this young lady that I don't want to say the pleasure, I had to work with her folks because she died at a party. And what ended up happening is I talk about that during my training, about this young lady. She drinks, she gets drunk, she's about ready to pass out. And then I asked my audience of, high school students or junior high kids, do you think her friends helped her or did they make fun of her? And since I've been doing that probably for the past 7 years, it's unanimous. I've never had anybody go, oh, they helped her. They always say they made fun of her. And I said, you got to remember, that would be you at that party. And so what happens is you think your friends are going to be there for you, but they are not, and they laugh at you. And, maybe if you're lucky, they'll put you on your side or something like that. But it seems like every time I tell that story, there's somebody that knows somebody or has been involved in a situation like that, and sure enough, they make fun of their friends. They don't help them out, and it just doesn't work that way,
Yeah.
And so you don't see the consequences, and especially when it comes to marijuana or alcohol or any of those other drugs. Like, let's say the first time a kid smoked weed, his skin turned purple and he lost his hearing. He's probably gonna go, "Wow, I'm not gonna smoke weed anymore,"
Right.
But the problem is the consequences with smoking weed and drinking alcohol and all that are so slow that they just think that there's, nothing wrong with that. It's like me and bacon, man. I eat bacon every day, and then one day, I'm end up in the hospital with this thing going on. The doctor's like, you got to cut out bacon. I'm like, oh, you're right now, So, yeah, it took forever for those consequences to happen.
Cinnamon rolls, too.
Yeah.
They'll do that,
Oh,
too.
my gosh. Yeah, right. I'm not slamming bacon, but, yeah. I saw a show one time on HBO where this guy talks about he's it's one of those documentaries where the guy's using heroin, and he looks in the camera and he's shooting heroin in his arm, and he goes, I'm killing myself really slow with heroin. And I looked back at the TV. I was with some friends. I'm like, no, you're killing yourself fast. I'm killing myself slow with bacon. That's that's a slow death. Sarah, don't do bacon. Okay, stay away from it. So yeah, but the consequences just people don't see them right away, so they don't think that there's a problem.
Yeah.
And you see that. I mean, even I know people that have used meth for a long time, and their life's destroyed. They're living in a storage unit, and they're like, yeah, everything's okay. And I'm like, wow, man, have we gotten to that place in your life? And that's the whole thing about addiction. When you can't see the consequences happening to you, And then the other problem with alcohol and other drugs, everybody always blames it on somebody else.
Yeah.
Wow, you know what? If they wouldn't make me mad, I wouldn't smoke weed. Or if that teacher wouldn't harass me, I wouldn't smoke weed. So, yeah, so we always blame it on other things.
So, Sarah, you're sitting over there super quiet. What do you see? Like, you just recently started middle school, right?
Yes, I did.
So, what do you see amongst your friends or the kids at the school? Do you see them with a lack of consequences? Do you think they need to learn more about consequences?
Yes, they do.
They do, don't they? And I think that's one of the, especially when it comes to marijuana, that's probably one of the biggest things you talk on, Ray, is marijuana.
Oh man, yeah, that's my biggest request right now, and it's starting. It used to be alcohol and marijuana, and then way back in the day it was tobacco and alcohol. And right now it's marijuana, and it's starting to switch into heroin. So I'm getting a lot of requests now.
Wow.
To talk about the topic of heroin.
That's scary.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's so terrible. But what has happened, I've been, reading some different reports that have come out. And what's happening now is the United States is growing such good weed, such as Colorado and Oregon, and even down in the South and stuff. Like marijuana is really good coming out of the United States, that even the drug cartel are kind of having trouble keeping up with it. So they're like, well, you know what? It's not like they're going to throw up their hands and go, well, I guess our time is done, fellas. Let's pack it in and go home. So they're flooding the United States with cheap heroin. And so it's, cheaper to buy heroin now than it is a movie ticket. And, so we're starting to see a lot of kids that have used, other drugs, substances are moving to heroin. And there's a crazy thing going on right now. Where people are almost getting to the point where they're overdosing with heroin. It's like a team effort thing. Mm-hmm. And the drug that they use to bring people back from heroin is called, not Adderall,
Narco?
No, I forget what it is. You know what? I'm going to stop this story until I can remember the name of it. But yeah, but people are getting to the point where they overdose and their friend brings them back out of it using these shots. It'll come back to me.
That's
nasty.
But
it's a crazy thing. Oh, yeah.
That's kind of playing the ultimate game of mortality with your life.
Yeah, Russian roulette with
with
a needle.
And one of the things that, since I live in the city of Rialto and I work so closely with our police department, we actually, at our last area command meeting, we had one of the gang enforcement officers at the meeting, and he was talking about the ABC grant. Uh-huh. And I asked him, I said, what is the number one thing that you're seeing with our kids? Is it still just alcohol? Because that's the one thing that the pro-marijuana groups always tell me is alcohol's worse, tobacco's worse, and I can't disagree with them on that. It's just as bad, if not worse. But what I asked this officer, I said, Nick Parcher, I said, what is the number one thing getting to our kids here in the city of Rialto? He said marijuana and alcohol are now tied for the most thing that they're getting access to.
Yeah. I hear that all the time as well. It's, I don't know if there's a substance you can put in your body that's going to alter your brain like that that's safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just thinking about that, and let's just go to the very basic thing about putting smoke in our lungs. That's just it right there. I mean, we're putting smoke in our lungs, and our lungs aren't designed for that. And that kind of trips me out a little bit, just thinking on the very basic level. And then one of the questions I get all the time from kids, there was a report that came out not too long ago saying that, smoking weed is safer for you than smoking cigarettes because it's natural and there's all these chemicals in cigarettes. And so I started looking into this report. Well, how did they do it? Basically, what they did is they looked at the element of tobacco and they looked at the element of marijuana and said, wow, tobacco, 2,000 man-made chemicals in it, must be bad for you. Wow, marijuana, no chemicals in it, right? Yeah, that's another big one. And, so it must be good for you because it's natural. Well, the problem is, David, is when you smoke weed and you hold it in your lungs for a long period of time, because they smoke weed different than they smoke cigarettes, so you're holding that smoke in your lungs for a long time. So, Sarah, get ready. I'm going to ask you a question, okay? Here we go. Sarah, it is a freezing cold day outside, okay? And you take a super hot, long shower, the kind where your dad's banging on the door, get out of the shower, okay? Sarah, you take a hot shower on a cold day. What happens to your mirror in the bathroom?
Well, I guess it gets all warm.
Warm, and what else happens to it? Does it get all foggy?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it gets all foggy with that condensation on it, right? Well, that's the same kind of thing that's happening inside your lungs. You're putting that hot smoke in your lungs, And it's just like taking a hot shower on a cold day. It forms that condensation inside your lungs. So if there's somebody right now that's smoking weed and you wake up with that little cough in the morning, there it is. There it is.
I actually had people trying to tell me that marijuana actually has a healing property that rebuilds your lungs and throat as you smoke. And I'm
just like, it's a miracle drug, right?
And we've kept this a secret for so long.
Dun,
It's
dun, dun.
big fat conspiracy.
Right.
So.
It just trips me out when people talk about that. Like there's a bunch of mice sitting around smoking weed going, I'm curing cancer right now, Mickey. How about you? You know? And it doesn't work that way. So I get that with kids all the time. And oh my gosh, if you look at the list of stuff that it cures, I'm like, my gosh, this is a miracle thing.
Right?
Warts, ADHD, lung cancer, HIV. You know, I mean, I've read so many things. Now kids come up with so many things that it cures. And I'm like, yeah, if it actually cured something, we're in a capitalistic society. Somebody would have jumped on that right away. And yeah. So.
And it's just it's just so sad because I think a larger component and what was really cool, I'm a reference back to the Don't Go There event, was we had parents and we had youth. And what I find all the time is when we're dealing with parent groups is just a lack of knowledge.
Right.
Like especially when it comes to synthetic drugs. I know I saw on your website that you had something up about spice that you put up just recently, and a lot of parents didn't know what synthetic drugs looked like. They saw that Scooby-Doo package and thought their kids had Pop Rocks when their kids don't even know what Pop Rocks look like anymore.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about parent knowledge and synthetic drugs.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of information on my website. If people, real easy, just go to Ray, R-A-Y, Lozano, LOZANO.com. There's a ton of information that they can find there. And it's so tough for parents because information changes and comes out, quite often. And, one of the things that parents will tell me is, well, we tell our kids not to smoke weed, and then what do we say after that? And so, I do parent trainings all the time, how to talk to your kids about drugs and alcohol, and how to get that information across. But there's always, more information coming out. And what I really encourage parents to do is just ask a lot of questions all the time. When I used to work at this one facility and had a caseload, one of the questions I would ask the kids is, when it comes to drugs and alcohol, have your parents, do they talk with you or do they talk at you? 95% of the time, parents talk at their kids. Don't smoke weed because blah, 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 blah. Don't drink alcohol because blah, 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 blah. And it's more of dumping information on kids. And the kids' brains just kind of shut off on that. But if you can do kind of an exploration together and find information, that really helps. And so that's what I really encourage parents to do. Ask questions. What do your friends think about weed? What do you think about weed? As a family, what do you think we think about weed?
Yeah.
All those kind of things. And so, but that requires, talking to those little boogers while they're looking at a phone.
Well,
Sarah's on her phone right now. Look at her go. Stop texting, Sarah. Stop it. She's not texting, Dad. No.
One of the things I like most, I go to Sandals over in Riverside, and our pastor talks a lot about talking to his kids and being, a dad to youth and stuff. And that's one of the things that he talks about most is talking to your kids, not at them, and facilitating a conversation where both sides feel safe and being, real in the conversation.
Right.
So, and I think that's, referring back to the DVDs that you have, I really think that they're an awesome opportunity for parents to feel comfortable in facilitating that conversation. They can sit down and watch that with their kids and then kind of talk about the DVDs. So we don't spend so much time telling our kids that, just hammering on them, but we could talk about, so what do you think about what Ray said in the DVD kind of thing? So, and they can also purchase those on your website, correct?
Yep, they can get those on my website or wherever I'm speaking, stuff like that. We have a curriculum that's being developed right now to go along with all of the information that we put out that schools can use or parents can use. So, we're trying to kick it up a notch so parents will have that kind of information. And, just there's a lot of good sites out there as well. If you do go to my website, there's places or studies that are out there, and you can see what's going on, because there's a lot of research that's coming out, not so much out of the United States. There's research coming out now, but out of the European nations, and even Australia is doing a lot of research on marijuana right now.
So before we wrap up and I give a few shout-outs to a couple of events that happened in the community today, do you want to tell anybody anything else, how they can reach out to you or anything?
Well, there's different ways that they can reach out to me. They can definitely go to my website, raylozano.com. It looks like here in the near future in Redlands. Can I talk about a location?
Yep.
Yeah. The Redlands Elks Lodge, 583. It looks like we're going to be doing a parent training kind of thing in the evening. That'll be open to the community. So we're talking about that right now. And I speak all over the place. If you just go to my website, you can see where I'm talking. And I'd just love to have that conversation, And so, it's not the don't smoke weed kind of stuff. It's like, here's the information, and information and education goes a long way. So, that's it. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much for coming out. And I just, there's a lot going on in the community, especially today. Today was a busy day for the community doing good things. And one of the organizations that we work so closely with within the Rialto Community Coalition is the Colton Coalition for Change. And they actually had, with Paul Rosso, who is the commish, who you can hear tomorrow, Sunday, on Kcaa Radio, AM 1050. He did a really, I think it just ended. It was the No Stopping Youth Summer event. They had pedal bikes and cars. They had live music. It ended at 3 o'clock, so ended a few hours ago. But just Paul Rosso, his daughter, and that whole coalition, they're just doing some really cool things for the community. So if you are out there and if you are in Colton and you're looking for a way to engage and get involved, the Colton Community Coalition is an awesome opportunity. They actually are a coalition that's working and moving. And then also, don't forget, this Tuesday at Fire Station 202, Sarah and I will be rerunning for our very physicians at the Rialto Community Coalition. Right. So you can head on out 6:30 to Fire Station 202, which is at 1700 North Riverside Avenue in Rialto, California, 92376. So I just want to thank everybody for showing up today, everybody for listening, and say goodbye. So this is Down to Earth Talk Radio with Let's Talk Community.
We'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You're on board KCAA's Inland Talk Express. KCAA, Loma Linda, 1050 AM, the station that leaves no listener behind.
Consider this your invitation to sell. At buysellmakeoffer.com, you can sell as much as you want for the next 60 days without paying any fees whatsoever. Sound incredible? It is, and it's true. Buysellmakeoffer.com is the new exciting way to sell your stuff online. Make extra money right now. Sell your old car, furniture, video games, household items, clothes, even your home. Sell anything that's legal. Load up your stuff to sell right now at buysellmakeoffer.com. This is your official invitation to get on board to sell your